I'm the legend from the Paul Feinbaum Show, and I'm in the starting lineup.
I'm Terry Quillian, and I'll be in the starting lineup every Saturday morning.
Yes, I'm Keefer, and I'm part of the starting lineup.
The starting lineup, 10:30 to 11 on ABC 3340 every Saturday morning.
Well, we always tell you, you never know who's going to be in the starting lineup. Well, take a look. Today, the starting lineup is at the Final Four.
Whoa! Welcome back to the starting lineup. I'm Tony Curry along with Kip Keefer. Man, a lot has happened since the last Saturday we sat here on ABC 3340 Stager. Of course, John Calipari's changed jobs. We had March Madness, and UConn takes it home again. We got a spring game going on a little bit later on this afternoon. We got Major League Baseball as well underway. It's kicking. We got the NBA going as well. We've got a lot going on. Of course, the transfer portal's also open, so a lot going on in the sports world. And we lost a legend a little earlier this week, or actually towards the end towards the week. We'll talk about the loss of O.J. Simpson. But you, fresh back, your eyes are now white again. They were as red as that shirt when you walked in here 10 minutes ago. This, by the way, is the 15th time we've tried to start this show because he keeps screwing it up.
Yeah, he told me I was fresh, and that kind of threw me for a loop. I am not fresh. I'm too old to be flying red eyes, but I am recovered enough and always ready to go on the starting lineup. So thrilled to be here. Great experience at the Final Four in Glendale, north of Phoenix. A fantastic entertainment district there. The Cardinals Stadium is brand new and phenomenal. What a perfect place for the event. And I want to say, Tony, congratulations to Alabama, Coach Nate Oates, and all the Alabama Tide Nation. The Tide really played valiantly against a machine of a team. UConn is just ridiculous. Tremendous machine.
We appreciate Nate Oates putting his hand up and saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm not interested in the Kentucky job."
He's.
Thanks for letting us know, Coach. Not to say that your phone would not ring, but I mean just to let everyone know, hey, you're here and you're happy at Alabama. Call your agent first before you start doing things like that. Of course, Bruce Pearl's name's up for that gig. Billy Donovan, a lot of gigs open for a lot of big names and that. So, but you know, it's amazing too, and I wanted to mention this because you obviously got a chance to go. Financially, you've done very well for yourself. Obviously, I'm one paycheck away from living in your trailer in the backyard of your home.
Well, the adoption papers are being processed.
But I thought it was interesting because, you know, we talk about all these concert tickets and all these sporting events and how expensive they are. I went to Memphis along with my son to watch the second round games, and we saw 4 games for $120 a piece.
There's
it was $30
right
a ticket. And right after, and of course, my son, who I drove over to watch the game over from Clemson on Monday night, I drove 4 hours to watch a 2-hour game, and I came right back, and we had a great time just to watch the game with my son. It's what we do.
That's the best.
He was on StubHub or one Ticketmaster, whatever. Tickets were $37 for the Final Four about 5 minutes into the game. And I said, listen, that's doable, brother. I said, you know what? Hey, I said, now we'd have to get an airline ticket, right? But I mean, if we're out there in Glendale or Phoenix or LA or Atlanta or wherever the next Final Four is, and I know I can get in for $37, that may be something we have to take a look at.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If you talk about value, and yes, tickets were ridiculously expensive, but for both Saturday sessions and Monday night, our package was about $550.
Okay.
Now that's a lot of money, but for the major event in college basketball, if you break that down by the game, I mean, it's no more than going to an NFL game.
That's
or a hockey. I paid a lot more for Stanley Cup tickets last year, so. Yeah. It's all in the value, but I thought all in all that was pretty reasonable.
That's fantastic. Something that wasn't reasonable was something that happened back in 1994, and that's when we all turned the TV on and saw this white Bronco going down an interstate, and inside that Bronco, of course, was O.J. Simpson and a good friend of his, and then in 1995, Al Cowlings, and then in 1995, of course, he was acquitted of brutally murdering a couple of individuals, including his ex-wife, and then, of course, the civil case found him guilty. But O.J. Simpson left us earlier this week at the age of 76 from cancer. It was breaking news, I guess, on Thursday. Interesting how people reacted to hearing about O.J. Simpson's life and death this past week. What were your reactions?
My reaction was O.J. was such a big part of my developmental years in sports. O.J. was the brightest star on the horizon, and I think a lot of people, younger people especially now, or people that are kind of children of the late part of the century, only know O.J. from the terrible travesty of the murder of his wife and her. This is always so unfair. Poor Ron Goldman was bringing something back. Her friend, that's what he's eternally known as. He was a human being too, not just her friend. But that aside, the paradox of O.J. Simpson's life and what he represented at the time, he was one of the major figures that even transcended a lot of this racial stuff, becoming a superstar in the 60s. I remember once in an interview, they asked him somehow, his thoughts about the influence he'd had on relations and race and things, and he says, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about because I'm OJ."
Yeah.
OJ considered himself a whole different kind of individual and never really identified with all of that identity. But the bottom line is, this guy is the ultimate paradox, and his accomplishments on the football field were so amazing. His acting career hurts to this day. When you run through an airport, you're thinking, I'm O.J. Simpson. Go, O.J., go.
Jumping luggage,
So, it requires a lot of thought and a lot of processing to kind of digest all this. But the passing of O.J. Simpson is a major story.
There were so many big things that came out of that one particular incident. First of all, reality television. We had never seen anything like that. We had never sat down. People wanted to know, where were you when Lady Di passed away or when RFK was done? We know where all we were when people were passing away. And then where were you during that car race? And that was the beginning of reality television as we know it, and news coverage.
Absolutely.
Then you throw in the fact that he was a guy who ended up making more money doing Hertz commercials than he actually did playing football. By the way, I don't know a kid growing up in my neighborhood that didn't have a 32. No one knew what 32. Everyone had a 32. Back then, you couldn't get multiple jerseys. Every jersey was a 32. It was a 32 jersey. That's what you wore. But then on top of that, 8 of the top 10 podcasts right now in the world are criminal podcasts.
Yes.
And those things took off shortly after 1995, or before 2000 podcasts started getting big. And a lot of it had to do with the reality story that became a real story for one O.J. Simpson. The only thing I'll say about it is he got away with murder. A lot of people believe he did. And we realized we have a court system here, and he was found innocent, and he was found guilty civilly. For him to screw it up and then get caught for something else immediately after that, the guy had it really, really good considering what he put everyone through. He was playing golf every single day, didn't pay a dime of the civil lawsuit. And so I think a lot of people would say, listen, 76, it was time for him to go. I don't want to step on a man's grave because it just happened, but that's the sense I'm getting from a lot of people that were either for OJ or weren't. That's the other thing, too. How polarizing was this country? You want to talk about politics?
Yeah.
You were either for OJ or against OJ. There was no middle ground.
Yeah, I was, my memories are chiefly, I was at the very last professional football game O.J. Simpson ever played in.
Wow.
He was on the 49ers by that time. He was done. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was only there to sell tickets. They gave him the ball 15 or 20 times at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium on a miserable, rainy, but 35-degree day. And but I knew I was witnessing the end of an era because this guy was a transcendent figure all through his college career. What an electrifying running back. Heisman Trophy winner. A lot of folks don't even realize that because everything changed, of course, in the mid-'90s. But I also experienced a crossing of the paths with O.J. in the 2008 Kentucky Derby. He had just gotten out of jail in Las Vegas. He was at the Derby, passed him in a corridor, and so that was O.J. And later on, he was sitting in a grandstand front row box just above where our position was, and there were like groups of girls gathering, women dressed in all their derby finery going, OJ, and I'm going, they're treating this guy like he's a celebrity. He's, got away with murder.
That's what this country is.
That's the paradox of O.J. Simpson.
That's what this country's all about. I mean, we love our celebrities, regardless of what they've done and how they've been ratified, responded to whatever they've done as far as murder goes. And I mean, we love, and again, he was not found guilty of those murders. Civilly, he certainly was. But that'll go down as one of those things. And just think about, the people that made the Cochran Law Firm. Just think about some of the people that were associated with that particular case that ended up getting TV deals out of it.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Absolutely. All right, lots to get into here. Of course, we're going to be talking about more basketball as we get around to the basketball season. You fresh back from coming back from Arizona. And, of course, we'll also talk about the big A game coming up. It's going to be fantastic. We got the legend. He's going to be doing his forecast on what he's expecting later on this afternoon. It's coming up next here on the starting lineup.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino turns dreams into reality. Like Roger M., who just won over $51,000. And Rebecca, celebrating a life-changing jackpot of $160,000. You could be the next to dance the Icky Shuffle with a big win.
Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Don't miss your chance to be our next big winner at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Hey, we've been catching you up here on the starting lineup on what's happening with the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, and more importantly, where a lot of the proceeds from your entertainment dollars go. Let's take a quick visit at the Children's Hospital with A.J. Johnson.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino is a first-class entertainment attraction that is paying off big for Alabama. And best of all, some of the most important resources in our community are hitting the jackpot as well. I'm Alan Johnson, Community Relations Director for the Birmingham Racing Commission since 2021. The Birmingham Racing Commission has distributed over nearly $14 million of racing and casino proceeds to local governments, critical service providers, and worthwhile organizations in the Birmingham metro area. And one of these recipients is Children's Hospital. They provide invaluable healthcare services to our precious children, unjustly stricken with serious illness, injury, and life-threatening medical conditions. Significant funding from the Birmingham Racecourse Casino assists this wonderful asset to our community in caring for our most important resource, our children. So when you come out for a night of fun at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino, you can't lose. And your entertainment dollars are making everyone in our community big winners.
I got to tell you something, Kip. I was actually visiting another radio station. You know, I did terrestrial radio for 40 years, right?
Quite a while.
And I was doing it since I was 12 years old, and I had an opportunity to go in and meet with some higher-ups who were flying in town. And anytime I get a chance to learn about the business of radio from the past to the present, I always like to do that. And I got up there, and it's much different now than it was, say, 15, 20 years ago. There's nobody inside a radio station. If you call a radio station, no one will answer the phone. There is nobody live on the air. There are no disc jockeys. There may be a salesperson, but since COVID, salespeople don't even work. So I don't even know why we have radio stations per se. I don't know why we have the brick and mortar. So when I started TKR about 4 years ago, I wanted to change that up a little bit. So I knew when Edward Van Halen passed away, that someone should be near or close enough to a radio station to get on and play 6 straight hours of Van Halen music, and that's what I did. O.J. Simpson passes away earlier this week. You need to have that breaking news on your radio station. Get that TKR app. TKR, there's 3 little letters through Android or Apple, and you're getting great classic rock and roll to the bone 24 hours a day, and then all these wonderful shows that you hear about topical stuff, and it's right in line with what's going on throughout your day, whether it's the death of a legend like an O.J. Simpson or an Eddie Van Halen, or you want to hear Need to Know or Keefer and Curry, another great show. Perhaps you want to check out some UAB action. We're going to have a great show with Andy Kennedy and Trent Dilfer, who's joined us right here in the starting lineup. He's going to be coming on next week. Just tons of great stuff. The TKR app, so check it out. And yes, we're trying to make some areas, some movements. We're cleaning out the back closet to find some room for a cot, to bring in the legend, to have his own show on TKR. He gets after it right now. We have a spring game to get into right now with the man, the myth, the legend. You like him, you love him, you can't live without him. It is the legend now on the starting lineup.
Oh, it's the legend from the Paul Feinbaum Show here with the Tighter Insider, baby. And before we get to the football game today, let's wrap up the basketball season and put it bluntly. We got robbed by some little weasel referees. I can't stand these officials. UConn had 18 free throws to Alabama's 5 in the first half. I'm still disgusted. Still disgusted. I tell you, I'm sick of these little weasel little referees running around blowing imaginary foul on Pringle, imaginary foul right there on Alabama, right there on whoever. But I'm telling you, these little weasel referees robbed us of that game. Yeah, UConn probably was the better team, but Alabama deserved a better opportunity from the officials. UConn shoots 18 free throws in the first half to Alabama's 5. It was over at that point, as far as I'm concerned. UConn was a great team, but Alabama got robbed But the little weasel referees, do something about it, NCAA. The season's over, Will. It was a great season. Now let's get down to the real sport, baby. Woo! You know what I'm talking about. It's A-Day at Alabama. And let me go over some of the players that you need to watch out for today. This is an exciting team that Coach DeBoer has down in Tuscaloosa. And here's some of the players you need to look out for. First of all, at quarterback, Jalen Melrose, baby. You know who he is, the superstar himself. He can run, he can throw, he can do it all. He's back for another season, and I expect a Heisman Trophy-like season for Jalen Melrose. And he's got weapons all around him. Also at quarterback, watch for Ty Simpson today. Reports down there in spring is that Ty Simpson has went to another level, and he's brought his game up. Maybe Ty Simpson is a Mac Jones. Maybe he is a Greg McElroy. Who knows? We've often not thought about Ty Simpson, but he's still down there, ladies and gentlemen. And also Austin Mack, the Mac Attack, 6'6", 225 quarterback, baby. Keep an eye on them three quarterbacks. Running backs today, keep an eye on Jam Miller. Oh, it's like peanut butter and jelly, baby. Jam Miller can motor. He can motor, catch the ball out of the backfield. He is a part of an exciting backfield, but the player you really need to keep an eye on is Justice Haynes. Yes, baby, Justice Haynes. There's going to be some justice in the SEC this year with Justice Haynes running the ball, baby. It's looking good at both quarterback and running back. Now, wide receiver, keep an eye on the Washington transfer, Bernard. They saying he is exciting, an electric player with 4.3 speed in the 40. Man, he can take it to the house. You also got Pinterest back, baby. Kobe Pinterest. Ty Lowry got Lowry down there. But also keep an eye on Caleb Odom, a 6'6" freshman who has come in and blown the coaches away down there. They say he may be another Calvin Johnson. Keep an eye on Caleb Odom today. On the defensive side, Malachi Moore has moved to safety, and that's a good move for Alabama. Malachi Moore will be the anchor of the back end of that secondary, along with a kid named Keon Sapp that transferred from Michigan. Yeah, we let him come from Michigan if they're a good player. Yeah, come on over and join the team. This kid can play. Another guy to look out for on defense is Keon Kelly. Yeah, a five-star last year player that is just showing out down there. They say he can't be blocked. Also, you got Lawson back at linebacker. You got Campbell back at linebacker. All up front, you got Tim Smith. Oh, you still got Big Otis. It's an exciting day. There's Alabama football today, baby. I'm spitting, mama. I'm spitting, bear. Oh, I get spitting when I talk about Alabama football, baby. Spring day today. Get down to Tuscaloosa, support the team. Let's put 70 or 80,000 people in the stands. It's free to the public. Get your butt down there and support the team, baby. Remember, it's just a game. Woo, I done spill all over myself. Don't be like the legend. Sports insane.
Try to stay up to snuff on what's going on in the world of politics and the world of business, because I am a business owner, and whenever I see the labor stats come out, I'm always interested, because Southern Precision Staffing is one of our great sponsors here on the starting lineup. And you know what? If you need some staffing needs, say your staff's banged up, maybe someone's got sick, maybe someone's on paternity leave, maybe you need 12 or 13 guys at one time for maybe something that's going on from a civil standpoint, maybe it's construction, maybe it's IT, whatever. If you need some staffing needs, Southern Precision Staffing is the way to go. 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828. Broke bread and had lunch with Kai Gregory last week. Love catching up with him. He's got his fingers. He knows what's going on in this area. He's right here in Hoover, Alabama. But you know what? In Hoover, Alabama, they got it going on. But he's serving the United States of America just like Tony Curry Radio does. So it's 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828, where your word and your handshake still mean something.
And serving your investing needs is one Case Keefer, who's back in Vegas after cashing big on a futures bet on UConn in the NCAA tournament. Case is all over the board today talking about the Masters, which is going on, the NBA Finals, the NHL, you name it. He talks about it today and gives you some sound investment advice. Here's Case from the desert.
Hey, it's Keefer coming to you from Las Vegas for another week of my best bet segment as part of the starting lineup. Only 1-1 on the show last week with our pair of Final Four bets, but hopefully you were reading my stuff at LasVegasSun.com, where in the intro to the Final Four column, I broke down the most outstanding player race and advocated for taking a shot against the favorite Donovan Clingan and advocating for Tristan Newton as the UConn choice at 5-1. He ends up cashing. That was the biggest sweat of the tournament for me. I was waiting on pins and needles to see who was going to get the trophy on the dais afterwards. Luckily, Newton was announced. Big win for me. And while we're on the hopefully case, hopefully you followed my advice over the last couple months of who to bet on the Masters. I know on the show I gave out two golfers, Scotty Scheffler at 10-1, Xander Schauffele at 28-1. The tournament, of course, underway now, not as of the time I'm recording this, but so I don't know how they're doing. Hopefully they're doing well, but we killed the closing numbers there. They went off as the two favorites. Rory McIlroy mixed in there, depending on the sports book as well, but about 4-1 and 12-1 on Scotty and Xander's. Hopefully one of those guys takes it home. It's hard to share futures on the show just because this is something I'm betting year round. It's probably the most serious part of my betting portfolio. Heck, I've already made 3 college basketball futures for next year. And the reason why I make these bets so early is just when you see a number that's off and you know is going to move, you want to swoop in and get them. I honestly wish I would have bet 4 college basketball futures. There's another one I was eyeing, and the number has already moved. But I understand people don't like betting things that far ahead of time, so I thought this week on the segment we could break down the 2 big tournaments coming up now that the NCAA tournament is out, the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs. Now, again, I've been betting these year-round, so I have a lot different numbers now, but I really just dove in to the markets tonight to see what I would advocate betting right now. And I'm going to be honest, this just shows you how quickly these things get bashed into place by this point of the season. I thought I was going to come in here and say to take the Hurricanes to win the Stanley Cup. I do think they are the most likely winners ever since Frederik Andersen came back in goal. The trade deadline where they got some pieces, including Jake Gensel, they've been the most complete team. And in hockey, the way you end the regular season, actually really predictive in the postseason. So I think the Hurricanes have a great chance, but I bet them 2 weeks ago as the final piece of my portfolio at 10-1. Look now, they're already down to 6-1. I just think the East is still going to be pretty tough. At 6-1, I can't quite get there. So let's look to the West for the teams I would bet. And to be honest, kind of the Hurricanes equal to me on the West is the Stars. I think they are playing the best. They are at 8-1. Still might be worth a bet there, but I'm really worried about their path now. The Vegas Golden Knights in a slide, so it looks like they will be their first round opponent. The Stars will certainly be favored, should have an advantage, but the Golden Knights, just from a pure talent perspective, is a team no one wants to play. They're really stacked. The defending Stanley Cup champions, if they get it together, that is a really tough series. And then you're possibly facing Colorado, who no one wants to play in the second round, so explosive offensively. I'm actually selling on Colorado a little bit overall. I don't think they're going to win the Stanley Cup this year, but if you have to start with Vegas and Colorado, that really cuts in to, I think, the Stars' win equity, and the team it benefits to me is the Edmonton Oilers. I know people are sick of them, don't want to bet them, but the Oilers at 8-1 right now, it's looking like their path in the West, at least before the conference finals, most likely going to be the Kings and the Canucks. They're huge favorites in both of those series. I think if that's who they match up with, that's an easy path to the Western Conference Finals. Then you're going to have to play a tough team. It's a little more of a coin flip, but 8-1, I think that's a little high. So if I had to make 2 bets right now in the Stanley Cup market, it would be the Stars and the Oilers at 8-1. I have much better numbers on both of these, so it's hard for me to really say I would bet them, but I think both those are a little long. The East, there's a lot more teams that I feel like can come out. In the West, I think it is Dallas or Edmonton this year. Let's quickly touch on the NBA, where I think the market is even tighter. It's Boston or Denver. Everyone is picking one of those 2 teams, and I feel like most people are on Denver to repeat. I actually break there. I'm going to go with Boston, plus 180, about the best price you can get. And I know a lot of people, that's too small of a future price for them, but you just look at their statistical profile, all their all-encompassing metrics, all the way down to point differential. Any team that has been as dominant as this has usually won the title. Now, I know people say they've choked in the past, but I just feel like this year's team is a lot deeper. The one team that kind of fits their profile that didn't end up winning the title was the 2016 Warriors, but I think there's a lot of difference there. They were really pushing for the wins record. Of course, they go 73-9, and they were just worn out by the playoffs. The Celtics now, they're resting guys. I think they're going to come back in full force for the playoffs. I really like Boston, I know people don't want to lay plus 180s. Maybe look in the exactas market. You could take them over the Nuggets in the NBA Finals at 6-1. Or, the other two teams I think are real contenders, the T-Wolves and the Mavericks. You could take the Celtics over them at 30-1. I think maybe pair the Nuggets and who you like better between the T-Wolves and the Mavs, get a little bit better payout. But I am going to be on the Celtics for the NBA playoffs. I am hitching my wagon to them. I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but Celtics and Oilers are the two bets I'd make right now in the big playoffs coming up. And now back to the starting lineup. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Starting Lineup. Kip Keefer and Tony Curry. You and I, between the two of us, we're trying to be on as many mediums
until you're absolutely sick of us.
We are. I'm trying to think of an artist. What was it like? Phil Collins? Was there a time where you could not turn the radio on and not hear Phil Collins? He was either doing a Walt Disney movie, or he had an album out with Genesis, or he's doing something solo. No, we're not the Ryan Seacrest of the radio, television, internet business yet, but we're getting close. But I know you got some new things you're working on, and certainly on my end I do as well. So go ahead, tell everyone what you're up to.
I'm really excited to announce that we, Terry Quillian, my partner, on Sundays and for the morning after, we'll be back for our 8th season this year, from 9 to 11 on Jocks. But now we've added another jewel, a sister station. I'm announcing a birth today. The sister show for the morning after will be Kip and Terry Game Time, Saturday mornings 8 to 10 on WJOX starting May the 4th, which is exciting for me because that's Kentucky Derby Day. So I will have all kinds of great guests and information coming up on the debut show. And then Terry and I will be along all summer long to get you ready for the most exciting season of college football. Tony, we're embarking on a brand new journey, an adventure, if you will, on this college football season. And I can't wait to start setting the stage for that.
Now this thing, let me tell you something now. We started this starting lineup thing. You called me up back in, what was it, July of last year, and I got this TV show, and I said, man, I'd love to do it with you, and you and I have known each other, but we never really got a chance to work together. We have great chemistry. You're already doing a couple of shows on TKR, which are some of our best listened to shows, and I love doing radio with you. And so we started doing that thing, and ABC kind of saw that they were onto something here. And said, listen, we'd love to have you guys back for the entire 2024 year. And we were like, well, we always do sports. What do we get to talk about? So we brought in the Leonard Skinnards, and we bring in authors of particular books, and we've had some special guests, and then you and I always get into something too. But it keeps getting better and better and better. And then by the time we plow into that early 11 o'clock SEC game of the week on ABC 3340 for 2024, and we get ready for a 12-team playoff, the college football season is going to be on fire. We're going to be all over it. We're going to be a great walk-up to the 11 o'clock start. So it's going to be fantastic right here in the starting lineup. And again, with all of our great fans and people who watch the TV show, listen to us on TKR, we greatly appreciate it. But this is the starting lineup, and we'll do it again next Saturday right here on ABC 3340.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where a spin could turn dreams into reality. Meet Sammy F., who just won over $70,000. And Orlando P., hitting the jackpot with a whopping $100,000. Feel the thrill of winning and join the Dance of Champions.
Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Your chance to be the next big winner is here at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
I'm the legend from the Paul Feinbaum Show, and I'm in the starting lineup.
I'm Terry Quillian, and I'll be in the starting lineup every Saturday morning.
I'm Case Keefer, and I'm part of the starting lineup.
The starting lineup, 10:30 to 11 on ABC 3340 every Saturday morning.